how it would be engineered, but how the resulting energy from the socio-political, economic, and emotional upheaval could be directed and utilized to the benefit of the criminal cabal. American policy would become neocon policy. Yet the term neocon, once again, is misleading, as what we are really talking about are the goals of a racist, supremacist Jewish power elite and the hundreds of thousands of everyday Jews who serve in their massive Sionim network. The power structure that would funnel the erupting force of 9/11 can be seen in the three distinct but interlocking categories. The first is the defense arm, with members Paul Wolfowitz, Richard Pearl, Douglas Feith, Elliot Abrams, and David Wurmser. This group was tasked with orchestrating a policy of preemptive action toward the Middle East in order so it may be reformed or remade in their vision. They further sought to substantially increase foreign aid to Israel, encourage joint weapons development, open up doors for new homeland security business opportunities, and legitimize the genocidal takeover of Palestine. The means by which they would achieve these objectives would be through inserting themselves and their cohorts in think tanks, defense policy boards, Defense Department contractors, talk shows, and investment banks. The second arm of the cabal was to be the pro-Israel press, formed of David Brooks, Lawrence Kaplan, William Kristol, and Norman Podhoretz, among other numerous personalities. Their objectives were to create the idea of the danger of Islam, render all Arab governments illegitimate in the public mind, make illegitimate any land for peace initiatives, and secure the idea that our primary American objective must be to defend Israel. This was achieved through the American Enterprise Institute, Jewish Institute for National Security Affairs, or JINSA, Heritage Foundation reports, as well as the Weekly Standard, the New Republic, Commentary Magazine, and through the American Jewish Committee. The final tentacle of the cabal is the group of columnists who directly swayed public opinion. Four major personalities, among others, are Robert Kagan, Charles Krauthammer, Max Boot, and William Safire. They sought to paint Palestinian militants as terrorists, create a linkage between 9/11 and all Arab governments, make anyone critical of Israel and the Jewish criminal mafia out to be an anti-Semite, and make Israelis heroes in the minds of Americans. The movie You Don't Mess with the Zohan, starring Jewish actor Adam Sandler, serves these final objectives expertly by slipping under the radar as mere entertainment.
He is the greatest Israeli soldier the world has ever known. His training is lethal, and his skills are legendary.
In October 2000, approximately 11 months prior to September 11, 2001, a former Israeli Defense Force, or IDF member, and veteran of the Yom Kippur War, 1973, was collecting English ivy cuttings at the Gomel Chesed Cemetery located at McKellen and 245 Mount Olive Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. The Gomel Chesed Cemetery is a Jewish cemetery. While he was scouting the cemetery for ivy cuttings, he overheard what he believed to be a conversation spoken in Hebrew, which drew his attention. As he watched and listened, a third man arrived to the meeting in a Lincoln Town Car. What the observer of these happenings heard, after normal niceties were exchanged between the three men, alarmed him. The man who arrived in the town car said,
"The Americans will learn what it is to live with terrorists after the planes hit the Twins in September."
One of the men that had been leaning against the retaining wall expressed concerns regarding whether the upcoming presidential election, November 2000, between Bush and Cheney and Gore and Lieberman could impact the plans. The man that arrived in the town car pacified the doubts by saying,
"Don't worry, we have people in high places, and no matter who gets elected, They will take care of everything.
According to his account, on 9th February 2001, approximately 8 months prior to the airplanes being flown into the Twins, he sent an email to then Attorney General Ashcroft, informing the Attorney General that he had important terrorism-related information. The U.S. Department of Justice did not directly respond to the source. It forwarded the email to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Shortly thereafter, on 28 March 2001, the source received a letter from Arthur Radford Baker, FBI, informing him that if he had information to share, he should contact the FBI Newark Division. The source contacted the FBI Newark Division and was told that 2 agents would be in contact with him, but no FBI agents came at that time. The source continued to call the FBI Newark Division in an attempt to pass his information on to the agency. He wanted to do this in person to ensure that it wasn't carelessly discarded or dismissed. He also sought a guarantee of protection by the FBI. As September 2001 drew closer, he grew more impatient. He began to act with a sense of urgency because, in his words, quote, time was running out. As he was getting nowhere with the FBI Newark Division, the source decided to write a letter to Arthur Bradford Baker on 21st May 2001. The person that sent the letter advising him that he should contact the FBI Newark Division. In this letter, the source reiterated that he had important information to share with the government, but would need a guarantee of protection by the FBI before he could disclose all that he knew. On the day that the source received a response letter from Arthur Radford Baker, 26th June 2001, now less than 3 months prior to the 9/11 attacks, 2 FBI agents finally paid a visit. They were Agent Robin Gritz and Agent Andrew Stengel. The agents were shown the second letter received that day from Arthur Radford Baker by the source. The letter informed the source that the FBI would not be able to do anything on his behalf. Here's some intelligence concerning the NSA. Yet another report focuses on the Israeli-based private communications company Amdocs, where a number of 60 detained suspects worked. Most directory assistance calls and virtually all call records and billing in the U.S. are done for the telephone companies by Amdocs Ltd., which has contracts with the 25 largest phone companies in the U.S. and more worldwide. It is virtually impossible to make a call on a landline without generating an Amdocs record. Through Amdocs, it would be possible to keep ahead of investigators by knowing who they are calling. In 1999, the Maryland-headquartered National Security Agency issued a top-secret report warning that records of calls in the United States were ending up in foreign hands, Israel in particular. Investigators do not believe calls are being bugged, but the data about who is calling whom and when is very valuable in itself. On 10th September 2001, just 24 hours before the World Trade Center attack, the Washington Times ran an article quoting intelligence sources who described Israel's Mossad as, quote, a wild card, ruthless and cunning, and has the capability to target U.S. forces and make it look like a Palestinian Arab act, unquote. Moreover, they said it was generally known in the intelligence community that the Mossad had penetrated every Muslim organization and would have a little problem in finding any number of fanatics to carry out a suicide mission in the belief that they were serving Allah. As reported by Christopher Bollin on 12th September 2001, the Internet edition of the Jerusalem Post announced that, quote, the Israeli Foreign Ministry has collected the names of 4,000 Israelis believed to have been in the areas of the World Trade Center and the Pentagon at the time of the attack, unquote. Yet only 1 Israeli was killed at the World Trade Center, and 2 were reportedly killed on the supposedly hijacked aircraft. Although a total of 3 Israeli lives were reportedly lost on 9/11, speechwriters for President George W. Bush grossly inflated the number of Israeli dead to 130 in the president's address to the joint session of Congress on 20th September 2001. The fact that only one Israeli died at the World Trade Center while 4,000 Israelis were thought to have been at the scene of the attacks on 9/11 naturally led to a widespread rumor blamed on Arabic sources that Israelis had been forewarned to stay away that day. Quote, whether this story was the origin of the rumor, Bret Stephens, the Post's editor-in-chief, wrote in 2003,